Hey, FC Wonderkid community. Thank you for clicking in this video about the players to watch in every single group in this World Cup because there's a lot of sauce. And do not forget to like this video and subscribe to FC Wonderkid on YouTube. Let's get to a like goal of 200 likes. Go bold. So, let's get it started with Group A.
Sure.
Yes.
Let's do it.
So Group
Who's
A.
your player to watch?
So Group A has Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. Who's your player to watch, Breton?
Okay, my player to watch is Ismail Assar. Okay, and I'm going with mostly younger players, so I got to prep. He matched Sadio Mane's goal total in qualifying, and I know you agree, but I believe Senegal, while Ecuador is my favorite team to disrupt things in Group A, Senegal certainly has the quality, but it's going to come down to whether or not Ismail Assar can deliver so that Sadio Mane, is not left with everything on his shoulders. But he has shown at times in the Premier League, and I'm trying to remember which top 5 team he was playing at the time. For Watford, when he literally won himself.
He destroyed Liverpool.
It was, and I just think that he really has the ability to maybe wreak some havoc in Group A. But yes, I didn't during the live that we did while these World Cup groups were getting selected. I definitely didn't think hard enough about Senegal's weapons, about who they've got up against, say, Caicedo and some of the young boys at Ecuador, which is a big reason why I like them, or like a Cody Gakpo balling out for the Netherlands. But I really think Ismail Assar, his production is going to be, or whether or not he produces, is going to be whether or not Senegal can make a run in Group A. So that's my younger take on it. What do you think?
And it's
who's yours?
Excellent show. He'll move soon. And that win, that was an unbeaten run in Anfield that he stopped with that game. So that was a shocker. So my highlight for Group A, I'll go with the hosts because I wanted to know what was all the hype.
Wow.
And I wanted to see, and it was Akram Afif is the hype and Pedro Miguel. Those two players. Pedro Miguel, I went to see, former Farense player. So, português, Pedro Miguel. But going back to it, Akram Afif, he is the star of the show at Qatar. And he showed it in Gold Cup, in which he had 5 starts, 2 goals, and 3 assists. And in the league with Al-Sadd, he's the star in a team that is coached by Javi Garcia and tends to win the league all the time. So, guys, be hyped up, okay, with these 2 players, Pedro Miguel and Akram Afif, okay? 2 players to watch from the Qatar unity. Really good. Really good.
Right, and the Qataris had a tough time finishing in the Gold Cup, and Akram Afif is their solution to that. He's very good. He was one of the best during that Gold Cup, and yeah. They definitely ran our defense ragged in that match. So that's a good shout there. And obviously these aren't like the best players to watch there, but come on, there's other shouts. I know you shouted out Jurrien Timber the other day.
Yep.
Whether or not he gets in there with the leagues or whatever. I mentioned Moises Caicedo is another one that I think can rule the midfield for Ecuador. Is going to be a big part about whether or not Ecuador can translate that to kind of wins or the points needed to get out of Group A. But yeah, great shout with going for the host nation. Not everybody knows anything about them, and I think they can play that to their favor. The real downside is Qatar in and of itself is a very small country. It's like not that big at all, right? And I think the actual distance that people are going to have to travel is like 100 miles, 200 miles to different locations at most, like round trip. Compare that to what you were doing in Brazil, right? 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles. All right. So really the home thing is going to be like what time zone, and it's going to be weather. And it might affect some of these players, but Senegal, Ecuador, I don't know. Do you reckon that Afif could actually get Qatar out of Group A?
I think, well, let's wait and see. I think it's early to say, but I want to see those friendlies leading up to it, and yeah, let's see what happens. So now with Group B, we have we have England, Iran, US, and the possibility of Scotland, Wales, or the Ukraine. So I think
Scotland.
I'll highlight the team that I think deserves a bit of love, and that's Iran. Okay, Iran, and I have two players that are having the team on their shoulders 100%. And if they're gonna shock U.S. and England, these two Iranian players are the people. It's Sardar Azmoun and Taremi. Okay, both have 67 goals. Okay, for Iran officially. So those must be like one of the two most tallied players maybe for Iran, or definitely at the top. So, and one thing I was looking at the tactics of Iran, when they don't play, they play with a 4-3-3. But when both of them are available, there's no chance. They gotta play them, and they put a 4-4-2 with Taremi and Sardar Azmoun. And I think Sardar Azmoun, even he left Zenit late stage now, so he's got a lot to prove, and he's hungry. And now in the Bundesliga, so I think those two players are really gonna shock people. Iranian two players.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they've had. I mean, they've made now, I believe it's 3 World Cups in a row, and I don't know if they've ever had this like solid of a strike force in terms of players that can get the goals that are needed. I think they play a low block. I could be wrong about that, but I think they play a low block and they get people in the transition. I know that I know that because like that kind of is not how the US that's a weakness of the US. So looking at Iran, I think they're a really tough matchup for us. But then you look at it and you're like, but they also have Taremi and Azmoun. And both of those guys can score goals, bundles of goals. So it's huge. And I don't think Iran has ever made it out of. So if they can do it, and this is a group where they could potentially do it, as much as it pains me to say that they'd be making history for them. So that's a great shout. My shout is a little more boring, but I have two because Gio Reyna has to be my pick here. Because he showed during our World Cup qualifiers how even in a limited capacity, how flippin' game changing he can be. Okay, and he is going to be everything. Okay, McKennie's great, Pulisic is great. There's expectations that are going to be attached to them, but what can Giovanni Reyna do in terms of things that are improbable, things that are unpredictable? Right. And whether or not he can blossom at the world stage. And he has this little tinge of like great arrogance, like confidence that makes you feel like he is going to relish a situation like lining up across the way from like a Jude Bellingham, his teammate, right? Or lining up across the way and going toe to toe with a Phil Foden, even though obviously Phil Foden is a mainstay for Manchester City these days. And Gio Reyna is still just trying to stay healthy. So it's a homer kind of pick for me, Gio Reyna, but that's one. The other one I got to bring up is so because he's so in form. Yes, Gareth Bale is everything to Wales. Wales makes it through. They're kind of the favorites between Wales, Scotland, and Ukraine. You got to watch out for this kid, Brennan Johnson. All right, Brennan Johnson plays for Nottingham Forest. He keeps scoring for them. He's got Nottingham Forest up in promotion playoffs in the Sky Bet Championship. And you've got Harry Wilson on the other side that is a Fulham guy. So the championship is a big kind of lifeblood of Wales and the Welsh teams. If they make it, I think Brennan Johnson, who's only 20 years old, he's got 13 goals, 7 assists for Forest in the championship. He could be kind of an X factor that really blossoms over the next 6-7 months and plays a big role for Wales, who I think as an American, that's like the team that you would least like to play out of that European playoff that hasn't sorted itself out yet. So those are my two. Both of us steered clear of England.
I did it because it's just we always talk about those
Everybody.
English Wonderkids, and it's I would who I think is gonna play best is Jude Bellingham and Foden. So
Yes.
just putting those names out there. So yeah. So Group C now: Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Okay, my shout. I'm gonna go with the team that I think is being the most disrespected because they were in pot 2. And that was Mexico, okay? Because I see a video of Emiliano Martinez celebrating the fact that he got Mexico. And every time I see those things happen, it doesn't end up well. Because look what happened to Germany. Those are the vibes. But what I have to say is, if something like that is going to happen, a comeback that no one is expecting, it's with the experience of these Mexican players. Corona, Jesus Corona, that went now to Sevilla. Hector Herrera, now at Atletico de Madrid. Edson Alvarez, performing really well at Ajax. And I have to believe in Lozano, and I think Lainez is a different player in the national team too. So I think these players from Mexico can surprise, and people really don't sleep on Mexico like I think Martinez is a bit, okay? And the player in this group that I just like to shout, and I think he's going to go viral just because I think this was something that was slept. It's Maciej Kasz at Poland. I think people are going to see a player that could be for England performing well at Poland, and they'll be like, oh, Maciej Kasz plays for Poland now. So I think it's going to be a funny thing, but it's going to be a really good one because that was a good decision because he's going to improve and he's going to play in the World Cup. So
I love me some Maciej Kasz. I love me some Maciej Kasz. He's his first few games for Poland were not good.
True.
At all. Right. And he has now kind of worked his way in. But that's a great shout. I have to echo your Mexico shout. I mean, they find a way every time to get through the group stages. It's just whether or not they can get past the round of 16, which I don't think has happened anytime recently or at all. But they have the wherewithal to get out of this group, and then you never know what happens in the next round. But their most important player is definitely, in my opinion, Edson Alvarez. He's consistent. He's influential. He's biting. He can dictate games. He can disrupt games. So he's going to have to be like his normal sturdy self for them to go far, or to give those guys like Tecatito Corona, to give Chucky Lozano the chance to at least change a game. But yeah, I never would, even though we've beaten them 3 times in the last year. I would never sleep on Mexico, because you're doing it at your own peril if you do so. But the one that I really wanted to mention, it's unfortunate because obviously very terrible news came out about him today, but a guy that's been growing in relevance and in influence for Brighton Hove Albion and for Poland has been 22-year-old midfielder Jacob Moder. And all of that just went out the window. Jacob Moder just tore his ACL. Literally yesterday, tore his ACL. So as I was writing this, he went into that match versus Norwich, and but he was really kind of glowing up, and I think it was kind of in support of, if Poland are finally going to kind of exercise their demons of the last 2 major tournaments, Euro and World Cup, they need a supporting cast. And mentioning a Maciej Kasz, bombing down the right side, or even Jacob Moder being the control man in the middle of the field, that's a big deal. So since Jacob Moder likely won't be there, I'm going to say it's going to be Sebastian Szymanski, who's been really good for the Russian in the Russian Premier League. And Szymanski has had a good run of form over the last at least 18 months. And he could be kind of an outlet. He scored a goal in their qualifier, and I think he can do so again if Poland are going to be successful. But once again, we avoided the favorite of the group. We didn't talk about Argentina.
Mm-hmm. Which Julian Alvarez scored, I think, his first goal for Argentina. Garnacho, like he's getting me hyped up. Okay, so they have talents. They have talents too. And Kozlowski at Poland, he was the record breaker in the Euros. So let's wait and see what he can break in the World Cup. So Group D now: France, Denmark, Tunisia, and the possibility of Peru or Australia. So,
Yep.
I want to highlight something that I think it's not unexpected, but just shows how good Denmark is like developing talents. It's how many good wingers right now does Denmark have? Like
I
we
know.
would focus in midfielders. We would focus like I was focused on Kasper Dolberg in the past, Kasper Schmeichel. Now I'm seeing Jesper Lindstrom, really good. Mikkel Damsgaard, Bran Larsen, Skov Olsen. So the amounts of options that Denmark has now and on the wing is ridiculous. And I think that is something they're going to exploit an awful lot with those late substitutions in the game and just bring those wingers that can make something happen, okay? And Jesper Lindstrom, he's really performing, not just for Frankfurt, but for Denmark too. So watch out on those players.
Yeah, it's a great shout. And Skov Olsen, Andreas Skov Olsen is like lights out for Club Brugge right now.
Yes.
And they are rapidly kind of closing the gap to Union SG in Belgium. But you're right. And to be honest, that's like the only silver lining that comes from something as tragic as what happened to Christian Eriksen. Like, remember seeing how much Mikkel Damsgaard stepped up after that? This young kid just making moves in the Euro 2020. That next man mentality that happened then is going to serve them well for being able to give these chances to these young wingers, these young guys. It's just, who do you put on the field and when? But Jesper Lindstrom is killing it in the Bundesliga. But anyway, I already talked about my kind of X factor, and it was France. It was Christo Nkunku. I honestly believe that he I don't know how you fit him into the tactics or if you even can. But I think his form is just so impossible to ignore. And I think while he might not play a start from the get-go type of a role, I think coming off the bench late as a playmaker, needing to maybe break down in Australia or break down Peru or break down Tunisia, that's really important. But I did have one fun fact. France, anytime Denmark is in their group, okay, France seems to win the whole tournament. All right. So they won in the Euro 1984. They won Euro 2000. They won World Cups 1998. Won World Cup in 2018. Every one of those times, I believe Denmark was in their group.
Denmark breaking the curse. Denmark. the variable.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that France wins the. It just means that Denmark is a solid kind of thermometer or a test that is needed for France to get to their best. So
I agree with you. And my last shout with Group D is Anibal Mejri. I want to mention him again because I do agree with you. I did have a chat and I went to see Tunisia's team, how they were playing, and Anibal Mejri comes out off the bench too. He hasn't been a starter, but I do reckon in the World Cup, Anibal Mejri is going to be a fundamental starter for Tunisia. Because until then, I think Anibal Mejri is going to be playing first-team football. Finally, okay? Maybe not in United, but somewhere. This summer, I can't see Anibal Mejri not having his future sorted to play football on a weekly basis, at first-team football on a weekly basis.
So I hope you're right.
I really reckon he's going to be big time for Tunisia. So Group E has Spain, the possibility of New Zealand or Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. Who's your shout for this group?
Well, obviously you've got Pedri, you've got Gavi, you've got Musiala, you've got just Takefusa Kubo for Japan. I mean, you've got so many names in here that just make me excited. Okay, but in the end, I'm not even going to pick a U23 guy. I'm going to pick Takahiro Tomiyasu for the exact reasons why we talked about it in that live the other day. Tomiyasu is, he needs to stay healthy, but he is the exact mentality that is needed if Japan is going to find a way out. Much like they did, I think they got out of their group a couple years ago, like last World Cup. I think they got out of their group based on less yellow cards or something, because they were tied on points, tied on goals for, tied on goals against. I forget who the other team was that they actually beat out. But anyway, Takahiro Tomiyasu is going to be essentially, pulse of Japan. And while obviously Pedri, Gavi, Musiala, some of these names that bring up, I honestly believe Tomiyasu is going to have a killer tournament for Japan. So I'll stop there because I'm really interested to see what you're going to say. The only other shout out I'm going to say is if Costa Rica qualifies, they have some youngsters that are capable of doing some things. Okay, Aguilera, and Bennett are two to watch, but we'll talk about them later if and when they qualify.
That'd be really good. But you reckon Costa Rica is gonna go through against New Zealand? So
I do. I think they're strong enough. Yeah, and Keylor Navas will get them through.
I love that you shout out what I was going to say. Pedri and Gavi, right? Pedri getting the number 10 confirms not just the validation for Barca, but the validation to be the big star player for Spain too, that I'm sure Luis Enrique loves that. And Gavi, right now 17, but he'll be 18 by the time the World Cup starts. And I do reckon he's going to be big time because I remember Gavi playing against Italy and what a performance that was. And I do reckon those performances will come for Spain. But the player that I was going to highlight for Spain is Jeremy Pino. He's already got 10 goal involvements in La Liga. And this is another player that I don't know if he's going to be at Villarreal when the World Cup starts. So people, watch out on Jeremy Pino. He's kind of overlooked. He's very overlooked, especially a player in the Spanish national team. And Musiala, Musiala, we can't mention lightly how changing his style of play he's doing. Musiala isn't the same player that he was not even a year ago. I'd say 6 months ago. So the improvement and the fast improvement that he's having will show for Germany. And I can't wait to see the results in this group stage.
Same, man. I mean, this is probably one of the groups I'm most excited to. Volume of young guys that are literally going to be given or handed the keys to their country's, 11s to make a difference on the biggest stage there. And Pedri, Gavi, I think I can't wait. And Musiala too. So I'm excited for Group E. That one we're going to spend a lot of time on, I'm sure. But all right, let's keep moving.
Group F as Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. So I'll want to highlight on the Croatian side because I see a bunch, like I said at the start of the pod, a bunch of outlets saying that Croatia is aging. But there's two players that everyone forgets. It's Lovro Majer and Gvardiol, okay?
Wow.
If I said that Gvardiol stopped Haaland, okay, he can stop Lukaku right now, okay? Because, yes, he's got what it takes. And, yes, it's the type of players that improve with an experienced squad. The fact that Modric is there, the fact that not all the team is youngsters, that will make Gvardiol a much better player for years to come. So I really believe that watch out for Joško Gvardiol. For me, he's going to be one of the best Wonderkids in this World Cup.
Yeah, man, Gvardiol, and he's experienced too. I mean, he's been at these big stages. I think he as an 18 or 19-year-old, right? Yeah. So absolutely, that's a great shout, and I love the Lovro Majer shout because we had always said, you and I liked him, but we wanted to see him take the next step, right? I believe he was at Dinamo Zagreb. And we wanted him to take the next step. And now he's at League One. He's with Stade Rennais. And he is, they are preparing for a Modric-less midfield in the future for future tournaments. And Majer is where you start, right? He is very, very good. And I think he's going to get the chance to show it. But I'm actually not even going to look at a young guy on this one. I'm going to say, because I always want to say his name in these podcasts because he's just killing it in Belgium. But Tariq Tissoudali, I think he's 28 or 29 years old. I believe he is the most important player for Morocco. Not whether or not Akram Ziyech plays for them. Not even Achraf Hakimi. Very important. Okay. But Tariq Tissoudali can't stop scoring for Ghent in Belgium. He's up to like 16 or 17 goals in the league, and he's been doing so regularly in Morocco as well. And so he's just a massive part and maybe an overlooked player amidst all of this. And I think if Morocco is going to make a run for it, you're going to have to find a way to shoot your way past a Croatia, shoot your way past a very good team with a bunch of game changers in Canada. And then obviously you got to find a way to break down Belgium, which in my opinion is doable, right? Belgium has not fixed their defense problem that I know of. Okay. And I think a guy, if you want to upset Belgium, a guy like Tissoudali has to be on form to get that done. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned him because obviously we're going to talk about Tajon Buchanan, Jonathan David. We're going to talk about Charles de Ketelaere and all the future. But Tissoudali, the old guy of the bunch, I wanted to make sure I gave him his proper dues.
I was going to ask you on Tajon Buchanan because he had a goal and an assist against Jamaica. So, and I saw that he went from New England Revolution to Club Brugge now for $5 million. So, what do you reckon? Is he the player that can stop this Belgium team?
Stop the Belgian? Oh, that's a great question because he plays in Belgium. Because he plays, much of what has created. He is dangerous. He is very, very dangerous. There's a good possibility. I mean, I think the X factor or the real question is we still haven't seen Alphonso Davies necessarily step on the field.
True.
And while I do believe he is back, he'll get back to normal, get back to form by the time the World Cup rings around. You're right. I mean, Tajon Buchanan might be forced to literally be the guy that creates for Jonathan David. And if you're asking me whether or not I think he's capable of upending a Group F, yeah, I do. He's from our college system, man. He was not an academy star. He was plucked out of college in the draft that everybody deems irrelevant these days. And he has shown people that you can still, even though you're not coming in as a 16 or 17-year-old to MLS, you can still have a really fast arc and a very fast learning curve. And Buchanan has definitely showed that. So I believe he's capable to step it up, especially if we don't have 100% Alphonso Davies, which I think we will in the next 7 months.
As a winger, though, you reckon? I think so, too.
I think so as a winger. I think Davies would be better for them as a left back heading into this tournament. But I don't know. There's so much that can change. So, yeah, as a winger for Buchanan.
I like it. So, Group G now, we have Brazil, Switzerland, Serbia, and Cameroon. So, I'm going to shout here the youngsters of Brazil, the support cast of Neymar, okay? Because I think that's what's making Brazil so successful. It's the fact that you have players that are hungry to prove to the world that they are ballers. You have Coutinho, that he wants to prove to the world he still got it, and you have Antony that wants to prove that he's gonna be the future. Martinelli, that's gonna be the future, and even a player too, Rodrigo Goes for Real Madrid. He's not getting all the playing time, but he gets the selection for Brazil, and he has a time in which he can prove himself too. So, and Vinicius Jr. I have to say Vinicius Jr. The hype around him and the numbers this season, one of the best under-21 players in the world this season. And leading up to the World Cup, we are all expecting Vini Jr. to deliver. So, those are my highlights. The young, hungry core that is next to Neymar in this Brazilian team.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be the reason why Brazil lifts it all, if they lift it all, right? Because it's that supporting cast thing, and it is so surprising to me, international window. That was Vinicius Jr.'s first goal for Brazil, right? First goal, right? It's not like he's been putting them in left and right for them, or he's been given the chance. So Vinicius, I think, is a great shout to Antony as well. But I'm going to have to go on the other side of things. I know you like Serbia, maybe not as a dark horse but pretty close, like as somebody that could really surprise in this tournament. Yeah, it's going to come down to whether or not Dusan Vlahovic shows up.
Yes.
Whether or not he can get it done, the Brazilian, defense, whether or not he can get and break down a tough Swiss defense, or even Cameroon. But
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, you look at it and you say, doubt him,
Mm-hmm.
considering what he did for Fiorentina with lack of service a lot of the times, and sometimes just doing it himself. Well, I mean, we've seen it happen to better players. A guy
Mm-hmm.
like Robert Lewandowski for the last 8 years has been
Exactly.
trying to get something together. And if Serbia, they very much have the ability to supply him.
Mm-hmm.
But if Serbia can't for some reason, he might wind up just being a dud. So Dusan Vlahovic is massive to them. Obviously Mitrovic as well.
I agree. I have a shot.
But like this, yeah,
I have
yeah,
a shot for Serbia that, for me, he's the player that people are going to be saying, how is this player not in a European giant? How is he still playing for Lazio? And it's Sergej Milinkovic Savic. I
yeah,
think he's going to be the player that's going to supply those goals to Vlahovic and Mitrovic. He's got 9
yeah,
goals and 9 assists in Serie A this season. He's good in the
yeah,
air. He's got a great pass. He's great defensively, and he's great going forwards. He's so complete. So he's 27, and that's
mhm,
why I think so many people are going to be surprised, and I think he's going to get a move. Maybe, because if there's a time to move, it's 27, 28 now, okay? So go bold, Sergej
yeah,
Milinkovic
man.
Savic. Go bold.
I like it. I like it. He was there. There was talk around SMS coming to the Premier
Oh,
League years ago. Um, I would have loved that. I think it was even, was it Arsenal
and
that was
United.
sniffing around him?
United.
Yeah, United maybe. Yeah, yeah. He's a great, great, great player.
He would have
All
sold
right.
a lot of
Yeah,
stuff. He would have sold,
I
but
look at Serbia's 11 all the time, and I look at it and I say, you know, you're right. This is going to be one of the fun teams to watch, but it is whether or not they can all come together and get it done. And what I love as we move into Group H is that I know you think Portugal might sneak through in second, but if they do their job and they get first, and Serbia does their job but Brazil's better, who gets their revenge in the next round?
it's us.
It's you.
It's us.
It's
We
you.
get that done. We get that done. Oh, we have to. We
You
have to
do.
get that done.
Yeah.
But leading up to what you said, Group H, yes, with Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. I'm gonna shout out first a player that was being people were very critical on him, and it was
Mhm.
Juventus fans, and it's Bentancur.
Nice.
Bentancur, for me, I was so scared of Uruguay. Why? Because I see now they got the stamp back of players that are ruthless in that midfield. They have
Yeah.
Bentancur that is performing really well with Antonio Conte at Tottenham. They got
Mhm.
Manuel Ugarte that is
Mhm.
performing very well at Sporting, in which Palhinha doesn't play games because of Ugarte. And they got the beast, Fede Valverde, okay, from Real Madrid, the motor, the engine. And these 3 players are tenacious, they're passionate, they just don't stop. They don't
Mhm.
stop. So if we are gonna beat them down, we gotta beat this midfield down. So
Yeah.
people, watch out with this Uruguayan midfield. Didn't even
Yeah.
mention Darwin.
Yeah, I know. Or anyone on Portugal.
But I will.
But
It's just the beginning mention with Uruguay.
I'll throw out there. I'm going to throw out there the team that the most successful African team. That's
Yes.
simple, right? And that's Ghana. Most successful African team in history is what I kind of meant to say. But Ghana this time around looks very different. Like this is not the Ghana that has Asamoah Gyan, not the Ghana that has Andre Ayew. It's not the Ghana that has Sully Montari running the midfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a very different Ghana. It's like you got some young bucks in there, you got some old heads, and they're still trying to figure themselves out. They crashed out of AFCON. They kind of backed in to the tournament. I mean, via away goals by scoring a goal in Nigeria. It wasn't dominant, but yes, they had hard competition. But when it comes down to one of the more one of the more exciting talents to watch there was also the youngest player to feature for them, and I believe any team at the AFCON, and that's Isahaku, right? Who I believe didn't he sign with Sporting or he's going to be taking his next level at Sporting, or it hasn't happened yet. I don't know. But Isahaku is a forward/winger, and he is, he's only going to grow and be given the opportunity to grow over the next 6-7 months. And I'm really excited to see him, because I think he'll start. He'll start for Ghana against Portugal, against Uruguay, against South Korea, and I think he's gonna turn some heads. But did he sign for Sporting, or am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure on that. I am gonna verify that immediately after, because that's big. That's big. So great shout. And I'm gonna mention this on the Portuguese side, like a player, not a youngster, because we got a ton. We got Rafael Leão that got called up. We got Vitinha that got called up. Thiago Jallo that got called up. So I think others maybe gonna be called up. But I'm gonna say a player that everybody in the world's gotta watch, because it's gonna be his last World Cup. Not just Pep, okay? Not just maybe Ronaldo, but it's gonna be João Moutinho's last World Cup for Portugal. And I gotta say this, one of the greatest midfielders in Portuguese history, okay?
Right.
I know a lot of people are not gonna like this, but Moutinho is one of the best. And what we saw in those playoff games, and those qualification games for Portugal against Turkey and against North Macedonia, Moutinho was absolutely crucial for us to play in the style of play we did. So watch out for Moutinho in this World Cup, because it's going to be his last one, and he'll for sure want to do the best he can. Yeah, so he can lift that World Cup finally. Oh, my days. That happens. If that happens.
I thought you were going to say like Gonzalo Inacio, because you were worried that Pep was going to be like, I don't know, submitted to a retirement home or something.
No, Pep, like hopefully he doesn't retire, because we still need Pep, just like we needed against North Macedonia, because it would have been a very different game without Pep, okay, against North Macedonia. So
yeah, that's a good shout. The other thing I was thinking about, do you think there's any chance that over the next 6 or 7 months that, say, somebody that has the ability to have the dual nationality, like a Tariq Lamptey, or like a Callum Hudson-Odoi, do you think there's any possibility of them like actually filing the one-time switch and then, I don't know, being a part of the roster?
That would be great. That would be unbelievable. Cool. And there's interest. There's interest.
Yeah,
So like Ghana, like Hudson-Odoi, please make it happen. You guys deserve to be stars. Okay, Hudson-Odoi has that talent, and Bayern Munich believed in it, and Lamptey too. Oh, excellent show.
Because like they're right backs. I was thinking about, like, literally right now. I didn't thinking about it, and I'm like, the right backs are like Dennis Odoi and Andy Yadem, who I think played for Reading for a while and maybe still does. So there's plenty of room for competition there. And absolutely plenty of room for competition for that right wing back.
And Lamptey is not going to take the spot of Reece James, of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And so it's like, might as well play for Ghana. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And play at the highest level. So excellent show. So people, if there's any player that we haven't mentioned in this video, please put down below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe.